An overview of Pacific Life's Workforce Benefits Division.
Employee benefits is a large, profitable, growing business across the country.
Connecting employee benefits with plan sponsors.
There's this huge disconnect as it relates to education.
And the importance of storytelling.
There's not that in-person, face-to-face conversation that's happening around the kitchen counter.
All this and more on today's episode of The Wave Strength.
Welcome to The Wave Strength. Innovative solutions for a secure retirement. Presented by Pacific Life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Wave Strength podcast series. I'm your host, Jim Breen, head of marketing with Pacific Life's institutional team. Joining us here today live in the studio in Newport Beach are Pacific Life's Karen Neeley and Erich Sternberg. Karen and Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Before we begin this important episode, I'd love to learn more about each of your respective roles as they fall within Pacific Life. And Karen, we'll begin with you as head of the Institutional Retirement Solutions Group within the institutional team. Perhaps you can share a little bit about your role and your background.
Sure. Thanks, Jim. So I've been with Pacific Life for about a year, and I lead our Institutional Retirement Solutions team. That includes our pension risk transfer and our defined contribution lifetime income business. So really all centered around driving secure retirement outcomes. By way of background, I've been in the industry for about 2 decades, really cut my teeth on the record-keeping side, and love what we're doing and the focus on retirement outcomes here at Pacific Life.
That's fantastic. Karen, thank you. And you've obviously been on the show a few times, so we're so happy to have you back. And, just as a quick side note, for those that want to see some of those episodes, head over to YouTube, Audible, and Spotify, search The Wave Strength, and click like and subscribe so you can search those old episodes and stay current with new content. Eric, thank you for joining us also. Now, Eric, head of Workforce Benefits, such an important part of Pacific Life, especially in our recent history. Maybe you can share a little bit about your role with Pacific Life and your background.
Sure. So I joined Pacific Life almost 2.5 years ago as the first employee in the new Workforce Benefits Division. We're a de novo startup looking to build a $1 billion revenue business in the employee benefits space over about a 10-year period of time. So my background is as an entrepreneur in the employee benefits space and a leader in very different types of insurance organizations and employee benefits organizations, and love the startup space. So super excited with what we're building here.
There's so many wonderful things happening in the workforce benefits team, also with our institutional team, and a lot of parallels, which we'll get into today. Our institutional team, almost 5 years ago, we started weeks before the pandemic, and then here we have workforce benefits, that unique division beginning just a few years ago as well. And
so as an enterprise, our annuities business is about 25 years old. I've been in the industry for about 25 years myself. So this is something that we have some experience doing. We've obviously done it well as a leader in that space now. So, and of course, with what we're doing on the institutional side, this is an enterprise that's not afraid to take a risk and to make some bold investments.
Yeah, agree. And as you think through the business lines and what we're focused on, it makes sense that we have the focus on the retirement income side and certainly on the workforce benefit side. Really goes hand in hand in thinking through how do we support plan sponsors and driving outcomes for their employees.
Yeah, and also a commitment from Pacific Life at large to provide and to allocate these resources to these specific business areas, knowing that there is such an important need for both the institutional side and workforce benefits side. So with that, let's jump into the conversation here. I'd love to begin, Eric, with you. Perhaps you can unpack a little bit about workforce benefits. You talked a little bit about some goals and the origins, but maybe we can dive in a little bit. Bring us back to that integral moment when you were brought onto the team, and why Pacific Life thought that workforce benefits is an important part of the future.
So I think first of all, employee benefits is a large, profitable, growing business across the country. So a lot of large competitors. There are opportunities inside that space to compete and to win and to capture margin and growth. So I think this is one of the big frontiers in the United States where Pacific Life hadn't really had a presence for some time. Bottom line, large growing space, capital light, so it provides a different sort of balance from a risk perspective for the enterprise, and makes it very appealing. So high ROE, just a different economic profile than some of our other businesses that we're in.
Fantastic. Thank you, Erich. Now, Karen, on the institutional side, obviously we have five areas of focus, and you as head of our institutional retirement solutions group are really focused on a couple of those core areas. Perhaps you can share those with us.
Sure. So going a little bit deeper into pension risk transfer and defined contribution lifetime income, we really like to think of that as the retirement of today in pension risk transfer and the retirement of tomorrow with DC. So, the stats are staggering. There's 11,000 people turning 65 each day. The amount of people who have access to a pension plan, to a defined benefit plan, has gone now from 50% 2 decades ago to less than a third. So as we think through the pension risk transfer business, we're really there to guarantee that retirement security for those existing pensioners, those existing annuitants, and take that liability off of a plan sponsor's balance sheet. So really freeing them of that while guaranteeing that retirement security. Now, in the retirement of tomorrow, which is where I think there's a lot of the excitement and the enthusiasm, and we're finally at this pivot point, I like to say, in the industry, we're really serving participants across all parts of that spectrum, whether it's at retirement solutions, whether it's investment solutions, whether it's in their asset allocation. We're looking to provide solutions that are embedded within that employer 401k plan, that employer retirement plan, because we've solved as an industry so many critical pieces of accumulations and savings. We haven't given participants, we haven't given employees a way to draw down that in a way that provides that retirement security that pension of today, which honestly I could call it pension of yesterday, in the defined benefit world provides. So really looking to provide that retirement security, the confidence for generations across the retirement landscape in both the pension risk transfer and the defined contribution worlds.
Very good. Erich, perhaps you can share a little bit about the audiences that Workforce Benefits is interested in and the areas in which you're penetrating currently.
Sure. I think it's probably very similar in some ways to what Karen and the team are looking at on the institutional side. We are looking at really what I would call small to mid-sized employers, so employers with up to 1,000 or 2,000 employees who are looking to attract talented workforces. Also employers that are thinking about technology and the way they work with their employees and how to leverage technology to provide a really seamless experience. And one of the challenges that a lot of our competitors have is legacy technology handcuffs that make it really difficult for them to operate efficiently and deliver really strong experiences for their customers. One of the things that's different about our products is that these are products people are going to use here and now. So every day. So for example, today, of course, I'm in California. My son's in Chicago, goes out for a run, trips, falls flat on his face, chips a tooth, has to get multiple stitches in his mouth, but he has an accident, results in an ambulance and a trip to the ER. And so for many families, that sort of accident, period, it's going to be expensive because of the ambulance and because of the ER visit, the dental work, everything else. So typical family has a pretty large medical deductible these days. So our products are designed to help with those sorts of situations. So we're there to promote wellness, to help people create good habits, and then help them fill in gaps when stuff happens.
Like today, I mean, is he okay?
Literally today, he's fine. He's fine.
Okay.
Mom was there. Everything is good, but it always happens when you're traveling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the truth too. I have
making it up. It's true.
It's the truth. I have 5 kids, and it is the truth. My wife and I were traveling a few weeks ago, and we get the call. And we were out of the country at the time, and it wasn't exactly a quick. But everything worked out. Everything was fine. Karen T, I know you have kids. I'm sure you have a million stories to connect with that same point too. Yeah, but it's so true because look, as a parent, that is something you think about, right? And the medical costs, they can add up, especially like you say when you add in that ambulance ride or the surgery or whatever may happen. It makes a big difference.
And for us, we have a suite of disability products, short-term and long-term disability, which will launch in about a month. And over the last year, we've launched dental and vision insurance, group term insurance, and then our supplemental health suite, so critical illness, accident, and hospital indemnity products. So, again, we're here to help consumers maximize their assets, maximize their income today, protect their income in case there's something happens, they're not able to work for a period of time. So we're trying to help them get to the point where you guys jump in.
Yeah.
Feels like.
Yeah, and I think even before that, you mentioned the importance of attracting and retaining talent. And as you think through the benefits that you provide in workforce benefits and on the retirement side as well, one of the things that employers are looking for, or plan sponsors are looking for, is how do they become that employer of choice?
Yeah.
It's a tight job market. Everyone's looking to attract top talent. And the benefits packages are comprehensive. It's everything from medical and dental and vision to retirement savings to other factors as well. And making sure that we're, as Pacific Life, that we are providing those solutions to help employers be that employee of choice or that employer of choice is important.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it's the same with everything you're doing. But for us, the experience for the consumer is super complicated, and for the employer. So typically these benefits are delivered by lots of different carriers across multiple systems. You could have multiple products, and consumers, like with my son's accident today, let's just say there was a disability involved and he needed to go on short-term disability. You potentially have 1, 2, potentially 3 carriers involved. And even sometimes when there's only one carrier involved, a family might have to file up to 3 separate claims. So, we're doing things like building event-based intake for claims, which is digital or telephonic, whatever works for the consumer, but allows the consumer to basically have an interactive, engaged conversation or experience online and effectively file one claim, and we do the rest. So we try to take complicated systems, complicated processes, and take the friction out. And because we're digital and we're new, we don't have the legacy technology piece, we can do some things that our competitors can't, which makes it exciting in a world where, to a large degree, our products are fairly commoditized.
That nimble approach that you're able to take, I'm sure, really drives innovation and allows you to really think differently.
It gives us a way to differentiate in a space where, we have massive competitors who have, lots of share of wallet with the brokers.
Yeah.
And lots of business. So, and we're competing to take that business every day.
Yeah.
What about technology? Maybe we can switch gears a little bit to talk about personalization and technology. I know both with institutional and workforce benefits, a lot of opportunity to create those unique experiences for those users. And maybe, Karen, you can share, I know you have such strong feelings about technology, personalization. Maybe you can share your thoughts about what we're doing and just technology in general and how that is so important in these journeys.
Sure. So I would say as an industry, we're still in the batter's box. We're trying to get out in the field as it relates to technology and personalization in the actual experience. Now, from a product suite perspective, that's one of the things that we're evolving is how do we ensure that we're showing up in those products that do provide that personalization, that, I mentioned the auto features and the accumulation piece that we've solved as a retirement industry over the past 10 years. How do you take that same level of personalization, the same level of automation, and put it into retirement solutions so that people have that set it and forget it type experience to bring them through? I would say we're starting to see huge inroads, and this is a passion point of mine on the education side. How do we personalize those education journeys? As we look at industry stats, 40% of people don't have a strong understanding of their retirement savings benefits, yet 60% of those same employees are dependent on their employer's retirement savings for some, if not all, of their retirement savings benefit. So there's this huge disconnect as it relates to education. How do we use personalization? How do we find new technologies to reach these employees, to reach them through their plan sponsors, through their advisors and consultants, to make sure that they truly are able to access the benefits that are afforded to them, that are in place to help them get to the goal line as it stands with retirement savings? And I think that's where, as it relates to technology, we're really going to see, movement out of the batter's box in that direction, because it's critical. And I think there's industry awareness of that.
I'd say we're in the same place. I think the employee benefits world has shifted so much, and so much is dependent around major medical plans and what employers are doing there. And employees, at all levels are squeezed. I mean, the products I mentioned, I just rattled off like 9 products that we're manufacturing at this point and offering. And each of them, potentially the employees making a decision to spend their personal money on that if the employer is not funding it. So in a lot of instances, you're talking about, do I pay my electrical bill? Do I buy dental insurance? We're competing with Netflix, all the monthly payroll deductions. The good news is that a lot of these products can be deducted pre-tax from paychecks, so that's really helpful. But from an education perspective, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So the decision support is really important. The industry's not doing a great job there. I think we're trying to make inroads, but there's more we can do to help employees make good decisions about how to spend their money and where they can get real value and lasting value for their families. It's complicated.
I think education plays a big part in that. And actually in a session that Karen and I were in earlier, where we were talking with Will Hansen from the Plan Sponsor Council of America, he talked a little bit about how, we can't lose sight of training the trainer. Right. And we sometimes focus on downstream on that end user, but it's important that we don't lose sight of training the folks that are actually bringing these solutions to bear.
Yeah, no, and you got real people. Just like I've got some of our best friends have a 29-year-old son, he and his wife just had their first child. 29-year-old, no life insurance, not a lot of benefits with the job. So how do you help, a young couple like that's just getting started realize that, they're vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And how do you make sure they're protected, not just now, but 50 years from now?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that conversation, in an ideal world, some of that conversation is happening at the employer, but you've got an employer and a benefits offering that's trying to explain retirement savings, it's trying to explain the vision package, the, optional long-term disability, all of these different things that go in it. So going back to that train the trainer, how do we bring that into the workforce? And then, rising tide lifts all boats. How do we include that education? I also have a 27-year-old who we had to push to get the life insurance once the second baby was born, because there's just not overall awareness on some of these things and how important and critical they are.
Yeah, and so much of our worlds are virtual these days. So there's not that in-person, face-to-face conversation that's happening around the kitchen counter or at the office like it used to. So how do you make sure that the important stuff is front and center and really understood?
Providing that spark. How can we ignite that spark in their hearts and minds to drive the awareness and tell a good story? I think we often in the industry and just frankly in general, we get so caught up in our own echo chamber or our own conversations, we forget that the folks that we're trying to connect with, it helps to tell the story. Imagine when we're trying to engage with the brands that we appreciate and like and are committed to. It's when we can connect our own story to those brands, there is that connection. And I think that's anything in life. And I think the essence of the story is so important.
Yeah, we're young and we're invincible. We're going to live forever and I'm going to work forever. And people don't realize, that accidents are real. People get hurt and they're disabled.
Yep.
And so what do you do? How do you take care of your family and anticipate it? And quite honestly, these products are largely affordable. And there are various stages you can go through with them over time and just sleep a little bit easier at night.
It goes back to the personalization too. We mentioned in that earlier podcast that Jim referenced you used to have the pizza party. You'd go to the cafeteria and it would be benefits enrollment time and everyone would have free pizza and you'd go through page 1 through 52 of the deck and you would walk through all the benefits. Now that was still completely overwhelming, but at least you drew the crowd there because of the free pizza. How do you personalize the education? How do you get people to the place where they realize, oh my gosh, I'm 29 and have a child and my income is not protected. And this is a huge gap and it's not an expensive gap to fix as it relates to ensuring that you've got that protection or looking at some of these other benefits that we offer here at Pacific Life. But there's just not the moments that matter where we're hitting people at those moments to give them that education to help them overcome some of that inertia.
And across both of our businesses, employers everywhere are looking for ways to attract the right employees, to attract the best talent, retain the best talent. And so these are all the products that we're talking about are relatively affordable products that employers can sponsor,
yes,
or they can offer to employees to pick up on their own dime. And so I think there are lots of options. For us, the choice is we're not just selling the individual employees, we're selling the employers to give us access, to let us help them. And I think it's really exciting to be able to build solutions that can be difference making, make employers' worlds easier, and really serve the employees and their families incredibly well.
Said.
Yeah,
Perfectly said.
perfectly.
You wouldn't drive a car without car insurance. You wouldn't live in your house without homeowners insurance. So for some reason, we don't have that same level of conviction around these products, which are just as critical and just as important. And to Erich's point, at times they're actually, not only are they affordable, they're fully sponsored by the employer in some instances. So ensuring that we're driving that awareness, driving that education, and most importantly, driving that adoption is critical.
Yeah. Let's talk for a moment as we begin to wrap up the show about partnerships, strategic partnerships. And I know, Karen, your team is really exploring the road and has fantastic relationships with various partners. Franklin Templeton comes to mind. You can go and Google Pacific Life and Franklin Templeton to check out the latest press release on that. A little shameless plug there. But I'd love to discuss, ideas in really a new way of thinking in general, I would say, partnering with folks that perhaps maybe even a decade ago, we're not going to do that. But now there's that appetite for it. Karen, perhaps you can share your thoughts.
Sure. I mentioned earlier, rising tide lifts all boats. And I fully believe that is the mantra that we need to have as it relates to this industry. And one of the phrases I heard from a competitor was co-opetition. Like this idea of we all need to work together, and it's not competition, but it's co-opetition. So as we think through our sponsorships, as we think through the relationships that we're building, at the end of the day, we're working to work with record keepers, to work with asset managers, to work with managed account providers, to work with middleware providers, to ensure that we're bringing the best amount of solutions to market to access participants where they are accessing, whether that's in the record keeper in their 401k plan or in the investment lineup with their asset manager, whatever that place might be, ensuring that we're building those. So I think it's a fun time for the industry. This is something that we haven't done as an industry before, and you're seeing the excitement and momentum and the market response to that, which is, I know Eric, you had mentioned just the excitement and the fun of being in the workforce benefits space, and I would say the same thing on the retirement savings side.
Yeah, and I think in the benefit space, there's a lot that's broken, particularly when it comes to the way our products are delivered and managed. It's really hard for the consumer. It's really hard for the employer. So, when we think about our ecosystem, we're clearly working very closely with the brokers that we think are the right brokers that are out there looking out for the best interests of their clients and their employees. I think we are looking very carefully to integrate digitally with as many of the top benefit administration platforms that are out there. We're looking at key payroll platforms, companies like ADP, Employee Navigator, Solarix, and others that are really looking to change the way benefits are delivered and managed. So for us, it's about reinventing wherever we can those experiences that are full of friction and trying to make them seamless. And what's fascinating is for us is we're a brand new entrant in the space. Everybody knows Pacific Life, but not for employee benefits. They certainly know Pacific Life for pension risk transfer and everything that Karen and her team are building. So, but for us, to come in and talk to the ADPs of the world and the Employee Navigators of the world, and for them to say, okay, we want to work with you when we have no business in place, we really, we're just getting out and getting started. It's because we're coming about it and saying, we're not doing paper. We're going to figure out how to make this super, super efficient and super easy. And brokers love it. The benefit administration platforms love it because it makes their world easier, fewer errors, just simple.
Eric, thank you. That's so important. And I love that Workforce Benefits has this unique vision. I love you. A moment ago, you said paperless, right? Full digital. And that's just so important. And I know in our industry, bringing these new technologies and even if it's that one-click or device-centric way of thinking is so important. Karen, talking about how your team is working with these plan sponsors to revolutionize the lifetime income landscape. I want to thank you both for sharing your time with us, with the audience today. So Eric, Karen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. And for those that want to connect with Karen or Eric, you can search their names on LinkedIn and give them a follow. And I want to encourage you to learn more about what we're doing with the Wave Strength platform. Head over to YouTube, Spotify, and Audible and search the Wave Strength. Hit like and subscribe so you can stay current with content as it becomes available. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us and have a great day, everyone.
This has been another episode of The Wave Strength, presented by Pacific Life. Don't forget to catch us on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Although this podcast is presented by Pacific Life, the opinions and views expressed are those of the hosts and participants and do not necessarily reflect Pacific Life's views on any of the topics discussed. Unless otherwise noted, Pacific Life is unaffiliated with any other individual or company mentioned. Pacific Life is a product provider. It is not a fiduciary and therefore does not give advice or make recommendations regarding insurance or investment products. Pacific Life, its affiliates, its distributors, and respective representatives do not provide any employer-sponsored qualified plan administrative services or impartial advice about investments, and do not act in a fiduciary capacity for any plan. Pacific Life refers to Pacific Life Insurance Company and its subsidiary, Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Insurance products can be issued in all states except New York by Pacific Life Insurance Company, and in all states by Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Product availability and features may vary by state. Each insurance company is solely responsible for the financial obligations accruing under the products it issues. This podcast was recorded on August 13th, 2024.
Thanks for joining us on today's show. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation below and leave a comment on your thoughts on what the industry can do better for participants as it pertains to lifetime income solutions. And if you'd like more interesting content, click one of these links over here.